the most incredible thing about the Lego system is that no matter how many builds I've seen, people can still surprise me with a fun and playful use of the bricks. So I think a couple of those we'll be taking to Lego HQ to see if we can use them too.
Now, you've just finished watching the Australian Lego Masters Season 2. What were your initial thoughts on the Australian contestants' abilities compared to the US?
I mean, first of all, I have to say the builds were absolutely incredible. Like I was really blown away. I couldn't believe how awesome so many of the builds were. Great challenges too. I think it's definitely for me clear that it's a season 2. You know, you can see season 1 was great. They had amazing builds, but season 2, the builds are just up a level again, which is really incredible, and a lot of pushing the Lego brick and the Lego system and what you can do. So many great story details that you could see, like in Jackson and Alex's Gingerbread House, I think was this great example of, you know, they've got a great build, it's full of details, and then you open it up and there's even more details. It's just, you just want to spend hours looking at that build. Loved that. And I think the level of character building and organic forms in this season was really incredible too. It's so hard to make curved shapes from Lego bricks because they're pointy. It's so hard to build characters. It's really hard to get expression. And there were so many examples in this season of great characters. I think especially actually the underwater challenge. I was really blown away about how many organic shapes the contestants managed to get in that underwater challenge. It was incredible. So I think, wow.
Were there any teams that kind of stood out to you as a favourite in the first couple of episodes?
Oh, I was thinking about this. It's really interesting because I think as a judge myself in the show, you never want to make favourites. You don't want to say these are the favourites, and you don't want to write anyone off, and you don't want to say these guys are the best. But of course you spot what's great about different teams. And I think what was incredible this season is so many of the teams had something special and different to offer. They had such different styles, they had really different skills, they had different creativity and imagination, and there was little glimpses of magic I could see in every single one of the teams. And some of the teams just managed to really find that magical thing and make it better every week. And some of the other teams maybe didn't get a chance to really lean into that thing that they were best at.
Yeah, for sure. And it must be hard going out so early because you do learn so much as you go. You know, look at Trent and Josh, for example. Their first build wasn't very memorable, but by the end, like, they're in the finals and they're doing stuff that just like stands out every single episode that was standing out.
But that's where I guess they found the magic, that they could make organic shapes. They could make characters, they could make expressions, and then there was so much emotion in the builds when they found that, and they just kept building on that every single time.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at, so you've messaged me a couple of your favourite builds, so we'll have a look. We've got Alex and Jackson's Gingerbread House, which you mentioned was one of your favourites. What did you like about this one?
You know, one thing I love about a build is that it has a wow moment when you first see it, and then it has like all these little stories, and Brickman talks about this as well. It has all these little stories and details that you keep on finding. So I think the fact that you opened up that house and there was a whole nother world inside full of stories and details. They didn't just look at the outside or the facade of the model. They made it this real playset feeling. And I absolutely love how the trees frame the gingerbread house perfectly and have such a contrast between, you know, the spooky woods and then this yummy house that sits between the trees. So I think there's just so much to love about this build.
Yeah, for sure. And then we've got Trent and Josh's 3D bull. As a designer, were you seeing them build this and thinking that that's not going to hold? Like, clutch power only goes so far.
I definitely had my, my heart was racing during this because I loved the idea, loved the ambition they had for it, and you could see as soon as they built the face of that cowboy character, like, wow, this is something really special. But they definitely left a lot of things too last minute for my comfort level, without a test and learn. And yes, a lot of weight was going into that. The scale was really big that it wasn't even fitting inside the frame. All these things that you wish they just thought of at the very beginning, so they never had that moment of doubt towards the end whether they could actually finish it. But wow.
Yeah.
what a model to have something that big and epic popping out of a frame.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I think this is one they're actually giving away as part of a competition with Lego Masters Australia, and all I can think is that's like a horrible dusting job for whoever gets it.
I feel like I might have to enter that contest.
Yeah, for sure. Andrew and Damien's Whole New World was another one that you mentioned stood out. So their Isle of Eyes in the Whole New World challenge.
Yeah.
What did you like about this one?
For me, watching episode 1, this was one of the builds that made me say, like, this is going to be an amazing competition. Like, you can see from this build the talent that Andrew and Damien have, and the fact that they brought something this incredible on the first episode. I knew there was great things to come in the coming weeks. So a lot of excitement, I think, from seeing this build in episode 1. So many details in the build. It's huge as well, and they actually had a story that they really followed through in every aspect of their build as well, which I think was really strong.
Yeah, and I think they tried to fit a couple of Isle of Eyes into a lot of their builds as like a shout out to their first one. It came a little running theme throughout.
I love that. I have to say I didn't notice it. There's definitely something that I missed being on the other side of the camera here and sitting watching it from home. I love those little details that you can only really spot if you're in there getting hands-on with the model. But I'll have to watch the season again and see if you can spot them.
Have a rewatch. And then Tim and Danny with the hanging brick. This is a fantastic build.
It's just so bold. It's like they just went all in with this character. It feels quite terrifying. The teeth are huge, the eyes are huge, it's fun, it's colourful. I really felt for them when the wing didn't work, when the fin didn't flap, because you could see that was they put so much into that and they were so disappointed. But I think they should still be incredibly built. And what a mass of bricks to be hanging from just a tiny beam. I mean, it's really ambitious.
Yeah, they I think they did weight tests, and I think it was about 25 kilograms the cord could take. And you look at Jane Starney's one with the micro city they did on the kebab, they called it. That had a lot of weight, and they were a bit worried it was going to snap at any moment. So with season 2 for Australia, we saw a lot of new challenges. There was hanging bricks, building underwater, 3D art. Which challenge would you personally have loved to have participated in?
That's a hard one. I think what's really interesting is so many of the challenges that they did, we actually talked about as saying this would be a really fun challenge to do. What would I love? I think that I'm all for the explosion challenges. I loved the smash challenge that we had in US and you guys had in the first season of Australian. And I thought it was just so fun to bring that added element of glitter or water or something else happening in there with the explosion. Yeah. And then how you can tie it together with this story of this one epic scene. So I just think there's so much playfulness and creativity in there because you're almost writing a whole movie and capturing it in one tiny moment. Love that challenge. So I think I would have loved to do that. The above and below, also super cool, like this duality of story of what's happening above the table and then what's happening below.
Yeah,
I love challenges like that, definitely, that you really have to put your imagination hat on and come up with something really different.
Well, what would you have built for above and below, for example? Your face.
I have to say, I think I probably would have gone a little bit in the direction that Jackson and Alex did, to have a hint of something happening. So this monster kind of exploding up through the city, but down below you get the real sense of this monster and this kind of underground world that's happening. So that probably would have been the direction I would have gone. Something that burst through the ground.
Yeah. Did you learn any new techniques or any takeaways from our teams that you might take back to the office with you?
We're always learning. I think always seeing things done in new ways. I think definitely the character builds, there was some real wow moments there that you could see the way they used elements in unusual ways to make the characters' faces. Loved that, especially in the challenge where Trent and Josh hardly had any bricks to use. The scavenger, the smash and grab, yeah, smash and grab one.
Smash and grab, I think.
There was a lot of interesting geometry that was used, especially in the finale with Andrew and Damien when they had this double curve on the stadium. I think that was pushing the boundaries of the system quite often, and they definitely did that in multiple challenges. Yeah. And a lot of nice parts usage. Love the bins being the vines.
Yes,
And
that was
also
very clever.
on the Game Boy with Stanny and Jay when they had the hats as the buttons on the Game Boy.
Oh yes, that was a very clever one. And then Annie and Runa got really clever with their turtle in the first episode. So the what do you call them? The tree element, and it's held together with just like the support plastic that it comes in the packet with, and they use that support plastic as like extra ferns and whatnot.
I love that.
Shrubs.
I think just the most incredible thing about the Lego system is that no matter how many builds I've seen, people can still surprise me with a fun and playful use of the bricks. So I think a couple of those we'll be taking to Lego HQ to see if we can use them too.
Yeah, how to make use of all the plastic that comes in the packet and incorporate the vine. It's perfect.